Welcome to the Love Lab podcast, a safe place to get real about sex. Whether you're man, woman, single or couple, this is the show for you because, well, sex matters. We are your hosts, Kevin Anthony and Céline Remy. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode number 16 of the Love Lab podcast. And today we are going to take you through the road of seduction.
So today's episode is actually called The Art of Seduction.
I know, it sounds pretty juicy and yummy, doesn't it?
So, what's interesting about The Art of Seduction is I think, when you research seduction, you go online and you type in, how do I seduce someone? There's all these articles on the art of seduction. And I think most of the time they're geared towards how can I seduce somebody into being with me who isn't already with me, right? So it's like, oh, there's this woman that I really want to go on a date with. How can I seduce her into going on to a date with me or something like that? And I want to make the point that seduction is not just about trying to get somebody that you would like to be with you. And so we need to sort of step outside that box and realize that even if we've been in a relationship for years, we can still seduce each other.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I do believe that seduction is one of the missing ingredients in most of people's relationship. And what I love about seduction is it's not gender specific. Seduction is about charming somebody. It's not about manipulating. It's really about inspiring them. And it works both ways. And as we were preparing for this show today is super exciting because we decided to kind of go totally live in terms of we're going to share a little bit what Céline thinks that men want and then what Kevin thinks that women want. And then we're going to tell each other how, far we are from the reality.
Yeah, so we like the show to be spontaneous. So just like we don't give our guests the questions ahead of time because we don't want it to all be scripted and rehearsed, we haven't actually had this discussion. The discussion started to come up, and then I said, no, wait, we can't talk about this. We have to save it for the show.
So I actually have little notes here that Kevin has not seen. He's totally brave. He did not write any notes. I was like, I wanted to be prepared. So it's written, and he doesn't have access to them. So I'm guarding them here on my side. So the question is it still possible to seduce your partner when you've been together for a while? It's a very first question.
Yes.
Yes.
Not only is it possible,
it's a must.
It's necessary. It's a must. It's actually probably more of a must when you've been together for a while than it is in the beginning. Because in the beginning, you've got all this lust and this chemistry and all this stuff that's driving you towards it anyway. And once you've been in a relationship for a long time, some of that stuff might not be there anymore. So it's even more important to lure them in.
It is true. Well, also what's fascinating is this is a conversation I was having with two of my women clients, literally last week and then the week before that. And for several women, they find it hard to think about themselves as being seductress, and they are labeling themselves as being shy. And therefore, I feel awkward when I'm trying to seduce him. And both of these women, by the way, are married in long-term relationship. And yet they are finding themselves holding back in that art, in that ability to seduce their men because of the idea that they're too shy. And so I was taking them and guiding them through different things, and we'll share with you different steps too around that. But just to kind of realize that you need to drop that label of I'm shy. You are in a relationship with that person. So literally this is the safest it ever gets, because especially if you're already married, you've decided to be together. You've committed to one another. So I'm here, try something. If it doesn't fully work out, try something else. There's nothing to lose.
It's like you said to me the other night. You said, I think I was getting undressed or something. You're like, oh, dance for me, you know, and I am not really a dancer at all.
If you know Kevin, you know that he always refuses to dance.
It's just
And
not
that's a
my
shame. He's a
thing.
really good dancer, actually.
I can move, I play music and do martial arts, all that kind of stuff, but dancing has just never been my thing, right? But you know, it's my woman, right? So so I do a little move for whatever, but what was your response to that? Is the point?
What I loved was I got totally turned on by it. And then what I told Kevin was, you know, it really didn't matter what he did and how he did it. The fact that he chose to ride that wave of pleasure, like in that moment, I was like, oh, dance for me, you know? And it's like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. Like he didn't go like, oh no, but I'm not good at it. Oh, I can't. Because if he would have done that, it probably would have put a stop to my own arousal, because arousal is a lot in the mind. You know, your biggest sex organ is between your ears, it's your brain. And so we all have different things that turn us on. We've already talked about that in several episodes of things that take us from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And so for me, it shows up of like, oh my God, if he did this dance move, it totally would like take my arousal really much higher. So the fact that he did it brought me closer to him and got me even more aroused and led to an amazing, you know, love-making time. But if he had said no, or said, I can't do this, I'm not a dancer, or whatever else, I would have just shut down. And I'm sure that every woman who's listening to this show can relate to that. Our arousal is so sometimes like, I don't even know what the term is, but it's like, it's a few seconds of windows that you have to act on it or do something. And if you don't do something, the train is gone. And it's a very important thing to realize on both sides, even for yourself, knowing that, okay, I'm feeling this arousal, I'm having this desire, I need to act on it and do something, because it might not be there in a few seconds.
And this is one of the things that we teach in our courses, right? Which is, don't be afraid to fail. Like, don't not do it because you think, I don't know how to do it, or it's not going to look good, or it's not going to work. Like, just get all of that crap out of your head and just fucking do something.
Be a fool. I'll tell you more about that later on the laughter. So remember that, Kevin. Okay, I'm kind of like feeling really excited, and I want to kind of jump in and, you know, I'm going to put Kevin on the spot. So, Kevin, what do you think seduction means for a woman? You know, what are the things that turn her on? Tell us all.
So what kinds of things a man can do that would turn a woman on?
Yeah, tell me what you think. I'll tell you if it works.
See, this is why we love to keep it spontaneous, because I could sit down and think about this a lot, write down a whole list, get on the internet and research it a little bit. But that just wouldn't be as genuine, because the reality is as guys, we generally don't have any fucking idea what it is that will really turn her on. You know, like I find it personally very interesting because, and this is just a little bit of an aside, but like, you know, sometimes we'll do little strip teases for each other. And as a guy, especially not really being a dancer, like I don't really know what kind of moves like she'll find sexy. I don't watch guy dancers, so I don't really know what guys do. But I know if you ask me what kind of a move a woman could do, I give you a list of 30 different moves she could do that are like amazing. I know every way she could move her body that is like totally a turn on, but I don't really know what to do as a guy. So it's a very interesting question. So some things that come to mind would be, let's see, I'm trying to seduce you. Okay, one of them would be to sort of lead you through something that's already planned, right? So to just take your hand and say, come with me. And then, you know, I take you to a bath that's already made, or the bed that's laid out with the candles and the music, or something where it's like, you don't really have to think about it, and I'm not asking you, well, what would you like? Would you like the lights on? Would you like, like where I'm just sort of taking you and leading you towards it.
Okay. And it sounds like it's kind of like romantic, that something that you've pre-planned, correct?
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be completely pre-planned. But the idea is that I'm sort of taking charge and leading you through something,
You get a point for this one. Keep going.
I do happen to know that you like when I dance for you. And I also know that you love when I do strip teases for you. So those are some things that might work. Oh, I have another good one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Maybe we should tell the audience that I actually made you a porn movie once. But here's the thing. It's not at all what you're thinking in the audience. I did not videotape myself
In doing any sexual
doing
acts of
any
any
sexual
kind?
acts of any kind. Well, what I did was, one day she was out having lunch with her girlfriends or breakfast, I forget, and I decided to video myself doing my workout. And so,
In skimpy little shorts.
well, yeah, there were skimpy little shorts involved, but it was me, like, working out on the heavy bag,
Yeah.
training martial arts with weapons and like
yeah.
weight training, and I even threw in some just crazy moves that I would never actually do. Like, I don't know, you may have seen this before if you're into martial arts, but if you've ever seen anybody hanging upside down from a heavy bag by their legs and doing sit-ups and punching the bag,
My
just
favorite move.
crazy stuff like that. And then I went and I edited it all together in a little movie with some music, and then I sent it to her.
That was so hot. So these are different actions here. Is there anything else to that, that would also seduce women in general, or a woman?
I mean, it really depends, I think, somewhat on knowing your woman, but I could have just as well made a movie of me vacuuming the house.
Oh, yeah.
That would have done it.
So where do you want this to go, by the way? Would you like me to kind of like add things, or you want me to move into mine?
So I mean, I know you're sort of agreeing with all these as I go along, but what I really want you to do is then, talk about all of the things, all the ideas that you can think of, because these are the things that I've thought of. But I want the men in the audience to hear from you as a woman. Okay, yeah, I agreed with those things, and here's like a whole bunch of other things, so that the men in the audience listening get a whole list of possibilities.
Oh, this is awesome. So I definitely loved everything that you've mentioned, and they've all been done, by the way, so I know they work. Yes, he said amazing. And I wanted to add a few more things. One of the things was appreciation, and being told that she is beautiful goes a long way, and it works in the seduction dance. And I know that that's things that you do, but that like it's kind of like really realizing, I don't think a woman can ever get tired to hear that she looks beautiful today, and being told this every single day will lit up her day. I guarantee you. And then you get bonus points if you notice that her color, her shirt matches her eyes, or that the way her hair is done today is different and lovely, or anything like that. If you can find the little details, that works really well. Another thing, actually, also that could be really big in seducing too, is to show your commitment. And it can vary from woman to woman, especially if you're already married, that you have that commitment. But just for a lot of guys, they're thinking, she knows I love her. She knows I'm
big
committed.
mistake.
It is.
Don't make that mistake, man. Don't think
Yeah.
she knows it. I've told her 100 times. I don't need to tell her
I've given her
anymore.
the ring.
It doesn't matter. She wants to hear it
She
over
does.
and over and over again.
She really does, and it goes a long way. And, like reminding her of your desire to be with her, of choosing her, praising her. So it's kind of like tying it together that are really important. Things that will work to our confidence. So, when you were saying like leading her somewhere, I also kind of call it confidence. So that goes a long way. A man who knows what he wants. And like you were saying about not making her choose what to do, like taking her on that. It's a form of confidence that is really, really hot. Another one too would be, I've got a lot, right? I hope you're
This
taking
is
notes.
good. Yeah.
Would be presence. Oh my God. And it doesn't matter whether it's a man, woman, or anything in between, like somebody who's here with you. It is a breath of fresh air. Like so much of the time people spend being on their phone or being distracted, and having somebody who's actually giving you their attention and being present. Yeah.
And there's a whole art to this. In our Power and Mastery series, in our Sexual Mastery course, we have a whole video dedicated to just how to master the art of being present.
Oh yeah, it's that essential. It has a whole video. But see, it made it to the list. And I think the other one too is passion. A man who's passionate about something, and it doesn't have to be something I like. Just the fact that you have a hobby, things that you like to do, and, of course, always come first. But
That's because I've practiced so much at being able to hold my ejaculation. I try to make sure you come first.
that's not what I meant. But that was good.
And true.
Knowing that, you're passionate about other things too. And so one thing too that we realized, it's kind of a little story that happened this weekend. This weekend I had a girl time in the morning, like breakfast with a girlfriend, and you happened to have guys' night at night that was planned, and it was both on the same day. And what I noticed is when Kevin came home, I got really, really excited to see him again. And it was pretty cool to just notice that time apart, and the fact that he took time to be with guys and do guys thing, and I took time to be with a girlfriend and just be in that space too. Kind of I want to say polarized us, made us more into this place of being deeply feminine, deeply masculine. And I'm not a late night person, and he came home at 11 p.m. and I was still awake. And I said two things. First, I said, "Oh, that was hot," because he undressed, and I was kind of watching him, and I was like, "Oh, she's awake." And then I said, "Fuck me."
Yep, she did. I really felt like I was in every guy's fantasy, because I was expecting her to be completely asleep, which means I was just gonna come home, do whatever, take my clothes off, and go to bed. And instead, I came home, took my clothes off, got into bed, and a super hot naked model rolled over on top of me and said, "Fuck me." I'm like, wow, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
that was great. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so glad you obliged.
Reporting for duty.
So all of these things, I think, and I'm sure there's more, it's just kind of top of my head, but these really do matter, and they are part of that whole range of seduction.
Yeah. All right. Let's turn the table a little bit
Oh,
here.
oh my God, I'm getting scared and hot.
So now, Celine, you are on the spot. So I want to hear, what types of things do you think men like as far as seduction is concerned?
Okay.
How do men like to be seduced?
Okay, all right. Well, I do have some notes because I really wanted to make sure I had everything in. But basically, I'm going to break it down into three different things that turn-ons can be and can show up. So first of all, there's the physical. And physical would be like showing some skin, wearing some sexy either underwear or outfits. It's kind of all tying together there, but I'm giving different like variations.
Kind of like I did this morning for you.
Yes.
I put on an outfit specifically for her because I know she likes it.
And it did work. I'll say that goes into you, but back to like, this is like what I think I want. Okay. So also I do know that red is a very powerful color. There's something about the color red that's very, very attractive. And especially if you wear a red dress, you're unforgettable in his mind. Okay, so you're nodding. Would you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll tell more when you're done.
Okay, so this would be kind of like on the physical, and I'm going to place one more in there, which is laughter. Do you remember when I said I was going to say more about laughter? And this is something that I learned not too long ago while I was recording a video. It's actually a study that was done that showed that men are subconsciously aroused by a woman's laughter. Isn't that amazing? So that's why I thought laughter should be there. It's very, very important. So this kind of goes into the physical turn on. And, it goes anywhere too from like, having your hair, if you have long hair, your hair down or playing with your hair, the way you move your body, the way you show off your curves. And that's kind of, we're going to talk, it's a little bit more on like that first level. Okay. And that's kind of how you look, but it does matter. And then there's something that I call the behavioral turn on. And that's more about attitude there. And attitude's got a lot to do with arousal and seduction. And I believe that confidence is very important. A woman who knows what she wants, a woman who asks for what she wants, is not afraid to share what turns her on. That's sexy. Yes.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, he's still nodding. I'm like, okay. Another one that
It's not a test. It's okay.
Okay, I can relax. I mean, we're live. We're recording. This is like, wow, there's pressure. Another one that I think is actually spontaneity and joy. Being happy. That's actually a happy woman is a turn on for a guy.
That's what they say, right? Happy wife, happy life.
That's true. I mean, that is true. I totally believe in that. So I'd say the confidence, the joyfulness, being happy. And then I'd say I would move to the third category of turn on, which I call the psychological turn ons. And like I mentioned earlier, because a lot of it is happening in our brain and in our mind, then it's about seducing his mind. And that could be about engaging into conversations because, hey, guys do like intelligent women. That's actually super hot. And it could be even dirty talking, which I like to call erotic talk. And being horny and letting him know about it.
Yeah.
You see him like, oh yeah, good. And even making sexual innuendos. It doesn't have to be crude, but guys like it when you tell them you're also a sexual being. And when you give them permission to be sexual beings as well.
Of course. Yeah, it's a very weird thing that happens sometimes where, guys want their woman to be a sexual being because, guys want sex. And yet at the same time, they don't want them to be too much of a sexual being. It's a weird thing. But yeah, the reality is we really want you to be a sexual being.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So these are, I think, about the different things that would seduce a man. And then there's still, or maybe one more, and it wasn't in my notes, but I'm thinking about it. Two more. There is the dancing too, that would fall into the physical, like the moving, the striptease, the dancing. And then there's also the whole, like, we'd say a man's, what is it?
way to a man's heart
Oh,
is
it's
through
through his
stomach.
But like, I actually think you can seduce a man too with your food. And it's also with how you eat your food and with the kind of food you prepare and with like making things that are like really like good for him too and his well-being. And like, it's more about how you take care of him. So maybe it's also about being like a domestic goddess in whatever ways that it looks for you. Because we women like and have an ability to create beauty, and men do appreciate that. So whether it shows up for you in how you arrange the house, in how you cook a meal, and it's just like creating that beauty state that also like sets the stage of seduction and arousal.
Well, that's quite a list. It's obvious you wrote down some notes.
Well, I've been researching this for a long time, Kevin.
Lucky me.
So how did I do?
You passed with flying colors. Well, yeah, I don't know that I would add much to that list, but I could at least speak from my point of view about
Please
the
do.
list. And yeah, when it comes to the physical, yeah, it's put on sexy underwear. It's wear a nice dress or a nice outfit. Celine has a whole bunch of these really sexy dresses, and every time she puts one on, I'm just like, holy shit. She, loves to wear the type of lingerie that I like. So, anything like that is going to go a long way towards seducing us. But I think what's even more powerful than that is the category you talked about, which is more like
The behaviors?
behaviors, exactly. Where it's really more about your behavior, so your attitude. Are you happy and positive instead of bitchy and complaining? Are you sexual in your nature as far as, you talking about it, you're teasing me about it, that sort of thing. I think that goes a long way. Just showing, like you said about being a sexual being, just showing that you actually are a sexual being and you're interested and want sex is huge. There's this idea that men want sex more than women. And the reality is that's not true. Women want sex just as much. Women talk about sex just as much. It's funny, actually, because, when we think about it, women think that guys get together on man night and they're in the man cave and all they're talking about is women and sex. Actually, that rarely happens. Because guys rarely talk about their sex lives with other guys.
That's true.
But
well,
women,
we do.
women, they get together for breakfast and the whole conversation is about sex and relationship and their partner's penis and like every bit of it, right? So this idea that women don't talk about it or aren't as interested or don't want it as much as men is complete bullshit. But if you actually look at how most people act within the course of their relationship, it actually appears like the stereotype. Because the guy's maybe asking more often, he's maybe complaining a little bit more, and the woman's maybe not advancing as much. But the reality is that's not true. So if you just be yourself and allow yourself to be that sexual being, that goes a long way. And then I would say the nurturing is really big too. What the nurturing is really is it's about feeling a sense of love. And that's what it is. We don't need women to take care of us. I lived by myself for many, many years. I cook, I clean, I do everything on my own. I don't need somebody to do those things for me. But when you do them for me, I know that you're doing them out of a sense of love. And that's a big key there. She's not doing it because she has to. She's doing it because
She wants to.
She wants to do it. And because I recognize that, it means a lot to me as far as, wow, she's doing this because she genuinely wants to help me. She wants to care for me. So I see those acts really as acts of caring, which is a big turn on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And, I would add too, and this is something we talked about in one of our previous shows, we talk about it in our courses, but it's that idea of keeping a constant state of arousal. And there are so many ways to do that. In the context of what we're talking about today, It's like, I love that you walk around the house in, like, you'll just take your pants off and walk around the house in your thong. Like, all the time, provided it's not too cold. And just watching you walk around the house like that, it's like hypnotizing. And I'm like, oh my God, there goes that ass again. Ooh, there it goes again. You never get tired of it, really. You know, and we talked about this. I know we mentioned this in our other show, but it was that really great comic strip that you found where the woman was all, you know, totally dressed up, sexy dress, the heels, the makeup, the hair, everything done. And says, this is how I dress to go out and be with people that I don't even know, like total strangers.
And don't want to have sex with.
And then the second panel was the woman in sweats and like just totally unkept. And it's like, this is how I dress for my partner and the person I do want to have sex with. And it was kind of showing the discrepancy there.
Yes.
One of the things I really love and appreciate about you is that you do go out of your way to make yourself look beautiful and pretty and sexy just for me every day. That's a big turn on.
Thank you, my love.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, it's getting pretty heated in here. I think we are getting close to the end of this episode. And I hope that it's been working for you as well as it's been working for us. I want to leave you with one word of wisdom. And it is, when you feel it, whether it's seduction, arousal, desire, however you want to name it, act on it. Really do, especially when you've been in a long-term relationship, because you can't be thinking, I'll put it on the shelf until I'm done with my to-do list, because I guarantee you that it won't be there. And so when you feel it, act on it. It doesn't mean that it has to lead to a lovemaking, penetration, and hours of sex, but it's at least keeping this alive. It means you can propose your partner at different, like, odd moments. It means it's like, this is alive. This is like, I'm turned on by you. I'm turned on by life. And I'm sharing this juicy, creative energy with you and putting this into the arousal account of our relationship. And that goes a long way.
Yeah. And I would add my little word of wisdom or words of wisdom at the end is simply continue the art of seduction throughout your entire relationship in life. It's not just about a new person who you're attracted to. Seduce each other every single day.
And in the process of that, seducing your partner is also about seducing yourself. If you do it because it feels so good for you, you get a lot of benefits there too.
And you will be much more motivated to keep doing it.
So thank you so much for listening, and we will be seeing you next week.
Bye. We hope you liked this episode of the Love Lab podcast. If you enjoyed this show, leave a comment and share it with your friends.
And if you want more, we have an entire digital library with the best sex tips and relationship advice at CelineRemy.com. That's CelineRemy.com. So join us in the Sex Vault to continue this adventure.
Thanks for listening.
And remember, you're amazing.